All right. Al, it's always a little tough telling whether we're live, but I'm pretty sure we are.
Hi, everyone.
Good to see everybody. Al will start the, I hate to call it formal, you're not a real formal person, but the real meat of our discussion in about 8 minutes. But Al, I wanted to hear, first of all, kind of ask everybody if they can hear us and see us okay. So how about if you can, over there, and Al is right over here, right? There's a chat screen there.
Doug is over
It's
there.
over there now. Okay. So the
No, I'm saying chat screen's over there. Doug is over there.
yeah, we can't tell on this who's seeing what. So anyway, there's a gray bar, probably to your left, and that is a chat screen. And if you would type in there that the video and the audio is okay, please do that and kind of let us know that you can hear us okay. And then after you do that, we'd love to hear where you're from and maybe what you're having to drink. And meanwhile, I think, Al, tell me a little bit about your trip to Mexico.
2 weeks ago, I got to go down to Chihuahua, Mexico, to judge in Copa Cerveza, Mexico. That was my first experience with international judging. It was a commercial competition, and if anybody gets an opportunity, gets an invite to go down there, I would highly recommend it. They're very, Jose Ruiz is the organizer. They showed us a great time. It was a great competition, 900 beers. And you know, I guess when I went down there, I went down with my friend Paul Dienhart, and we were expecting a lot of Corona-like beers or Negro Modelo, and they had the full range. They had the full range of beers that you'd see at any, at a GABF. It was some very good beers.
No kidding. American style also?
All styles, every style, even meads. They had a mead category as well.
Lambics?
Which I love. Lambics. I didn't judge lambics. I don't know, but I would presume lambics were there.
Okay. So I see, let's see. A couple of folks have said, Jim Price and Nathan, thank you for joining us. They both say, apparently we must be coming in clear. And I got a confirmation from my bride that she says we're coming in clear. So we will start again the real meat of this in about 5 minutes. So any of you that have joined us early, again, I would encourage you.
Get your beers.
Yeah, that's right. So share what you got there.
This is from a brewery that I have part interest in Minneapolis. I have to shade here so people can read the label.
Yeah.
Udapils, which is a great story behind that. Udapils is a Norwegian word that means having a beer outside with friends on the first nice day of spring after a long winter.
Wow.
Udapils.
That's a small word with a long definition.
It is. Cheers.
Cheers. Well, I am having a Dapple Dog. And this is a Irish stout that I snagged as part of the North Carolina Cup, which I was fortunate enough to judge. And Pitt Street did very well in the competition. And so I am going to start this guy. It's a category 15B, I think, Irish stout. If I can do this without spilling it on the computer.
Or banging it into your microphone.
Yeah, which I just did. But I'd rather bang the mic than hit the computer.
Yep, exactly.
So as a Cicerone, this is a totally inappropriate glass, but I happen to like these, so I'm going to use that anyway. So cheers.
I'll keep using the can so the label keeps getting seen.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Let's see who else we got. I see Jim. Looks like Jackson, Missouri. Says he can hear us great. He's drinking an Oscar Blues 1050. Oh, that's a good beer.
Is Nick still online? We saw him sign in way early. He was in St. Paul drinking a Boom Island. Lemon Drop Wits.
Let's see. I can look and actually see. I do not see Nick on there yet. So I don't think so. Let's see. Sorry, I have to kind of duck around to get around cameras and microphones, but the beer's still good. And again, for those of you that are on a few minutes early, we will start in about 3 minutes. I promise I like to try and start these on time. I like to end them on time. And the way we'll do this is at the top of the hour, I'll introduce Al. We'll kind of jump into his presentation very, very quickly. If it goes as long as 30 minutes, we will stop at 30 minutes, and we'll call that the meat of the program, and then we'll get into the Q&A. It looks like we've got about 6 questions. So there in the maybe center of the screen, Al,
ask a question.
Yeah, do you see that? Ask a question. That's a great place. Al is actually
it's right there on my screen.
Okay.
Everybody sees it a little differently, I think.
Anyway, bottom center, I think, on your complete screen. And if you'll click on that and type in the questions, do not put your questions in the chat. Excuse me. We're not going to have time to respond to the chat once we really get going. But if you put it in the questions in about 30 minutes, we will go through as many of those as we can. Al has actually typed a response to a number of them. And the cool thing is, if you ask a question, you will actually get an email when Al is answering the question, presuming I do it all right. And you'll get an email after that so you can click on it and actually see your question, answered right there. So you don't even have to watch the whole webinar to hear your question. So I love this interface. It just makes it very live. And even after it's over, we will continue to be able to answer some questions as long as Al is willing to do those.
Sure. I've got more beer where this came from. So,
all right. Well, I think it is the top of the hour, and we are ready to begin. So, welcome to the Hacking the BJCP Written Exam. And by the way, that was my title. It was not Al's choice. But I happen to kind of like that because I think Al is going to give us some inside scoop as to how to work our way through this. So
I'm going to debunk the title first.
Well, good. So, Al, again, I know you're having a beer. I'm having one too. So tell us about the beer you're having.
This is a Udapil's Receptional. It's their Oktoberfest, which it's out of print now. Unfortunately, it's past the season, but their newest beer is a red lager, also delicious. And if this goes on long enough, I'll probably those two.
All right. And I have a Dapple Dog from Pitt Street in North Carolina. It's an Irish stout. I have it in the wrong glass, but I happen to like this. So enjoying it very much. So please share that in the chat as we're going through it. And I see we've got people from all over. Looks like a number of people in the Minnesota area. There's Sal from New Orleans, Jackson, Missouri. That's Jim. Let's see, St. Louis. We got Tim Cochran. We've got a number of folks on here, and I'm glad you've joined us. A lot of these folks, Al, as you know, are from our Facebook group. And if any of you are visiting and you have not joined our Facebook group for BJCP national candidates, and actually we've got a lot of nationals on there that are working their way to masters. So I'm not sure the title is perfect, but it gets the point across. So we've got about 140, I think. And it's a fun group and a serious group, so I'd encourage you to join us there. Looks like Jim is saying, hey, Sal. So, Quito, Ecuador. That's cool. South America's got some serious stuff going on.
Sounds like Nathan might have been at Copa Cerveza this year. So, hey Nathan.
So, We've got those folks here, so let's go ahead. I'm really excited about that, and let's go ahead and get this going. So Al is going to introduce his actually newest copy of the BJCP for Dummies. I don't know if everybody has downloaded it. There's a free download link. I have downloaded mine, got it all clipped up so I can go through it, and it's been very nice.
We'll be referring to it throughout this, so pull it up online, print it out, whatever you need to do.
Perfect. So most of you know how much Al has contributed to the BJCP. You heard about his recent judging in Mexico. Don't know if you know, he's part owner of Utipills. Am I pronouncing that right?
Utipills. Pretend you're Norwegian.
I don't know if I can do that too well. And he is a BJCP Grandmaster 7 judge. So how many Grandmaster 7s are there, Al?
Just one right now. There's two ahead of me.
They're 8?
Gordon Strong and Steve Piatz are, I think, 10 and 9.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, it's a privilege to share the screen with you, and I won't slow things down anymore. So I think, Al, if you want to go ahead and jump into the meat of the topics here, and I'd love to hear more about how to get there, and because I'd like to get my chance to make it to national.
Okay. I've got some prepared notes, so I'm going to try to skim through these as quickly as I can. I can probably make these. Well, I've sent them to Doug. So Doug, if you want to publish these later on your site, you can do that too. But just going to go through some stuff you probably already know about nationals. To qualify to take the national exam, you need to have at least 10 judging points. You need to be a national or higher rank, or have an 80 or higher on the tasting score. The test itself, the national written exam, is a 90-minute test. There's 2 parts. The first is true-false, 20 questions. These are all published. These are online with the answers. They're online, so there's really no reason for you to not nail that. They're pretty much common sense also. So they're 124 questions. It's on the BJCP site. You don't get any credit for the true-false parts of the test. However, you do get a deduction for each question. It's a half a point deduction for each one that you get wrong. So don't get any wrong. There should be no reason.
There was a question on that, and it was mine. I think historically in the past, they might have switched the true and the false in the sentence. That's the rumor, but that's not true now. Is that correct?
I don't really understand. Sometimes
rephrase
in the BJCP Dummies,
so that it.
I think in the Dummies guide, it gives an example of a question can be asked in one of 2 ways, and one can turn out to be true and one can be false. It's not meant to be a trick. It's just rephrasing. One might say a contest organizer may be a judge in the competition as long as he is not aware of the entrance. Another way to phrase that is a competition organizer may not be a judge in an exam, blah, blah, or in a competition, blah, blah, blah. It's just one's true, one's false, obviously. So if that's what you meant.
That's exactly right.
I'm not sure. Okay. So it's not meant to be a trick. It's just you need to read the questions carefully.
Okay.
Going on, so after the true-false questions, then you have 5 questions. There's 5 essay questions. They're hard. They come from a pool of 10 questions, which are all published on the BJCP site. I'm going to go over them all tonight. So these questions they're published. You can study them. Get a group, get some flashcards. You can study them. You get 100 points for each essay question. So there's a total of 500 points available for the test. If you do the math, you have 90 minutes. I count the true-false as 1 question. So you have 90 minutes to do 6 questions. That's 15 minutes per. Do not go over. Get yourself a watch. Look at it. Even though you say, man, I'm going to ace this recipe question, I'm going to write 5 pages on it, resist the temptation. In fact, my recommendation is if you've written more than 1 page for a question, you've probably written too much. And I'm going to show you how to do that tonight. Like I said, all essay questions and their answers, they're all published in the BJCP Study Guide. The essay portion is always in the same format. There's, as I mentioned, 10 possible questions, so you won't be surprised. 2 of the questions are always about beer styles. They say here's 3 beers. You need to describe them. You need to compare and contrast. The questions that those beers are, the beers that those questions are about are from categories 1 through 26. So you don't need to learn anything past beer category 26. In fact, I'll mention there's 2 styles in those categories that aren't in there also, but just learn all of the 1 through 26 styles. How do you do that? You just got to learn them. There's no hack for it. You need to know those styles. Let's see, where am I?
So is that just index cards or whatever method you like to use?
Yeah, I'd say flashcards. That's great. Get a study buddy or a study group. Just quiz each other on it. Yep. There's 1 question on recipe formulation. There's only 12 possible beers that they're going to ask you to write a recipe for. So that's only 12 beers that you have to learn how to make that recipe. And I'm going to show you in the Dummies guide. I'm not going to show you tonight, but it's in the Dummies guide how you can really dumb that down. You can pick the average range for those beers and say, this beer is about 1050. And that's going to be the case for about 8 of those beers. So if you just learn, that's your OG for 8 of the 12 beers. That's a good hack, I think, using your word. There's going to be 1 question about beer characteristics. I used to call it troubleshooting, but under the new test, the BJCP exam director renamed it beer characteristics question. There's 14 beer characteristics that are published. If you dig it up, what those characteristics are, they're right in the study guide. How to correct them, that's all in materials available on the BJCP website.